Welcome to MPS Neighborhood, a community space for MPS students and families to listen, learn, and grow. Today's episode is titled Racial Justice. My name is Derek Francis, and I am the Manager of Counseling Services for Minneapolis Public Schools. In today's episode, we will learn about racial justice and its impact on our city. We are also going to see examples of Minneapolis Public Schools students and staff leading racial justice efforts. We will learn opportunities of where we can practice racial justice in our Minneapolis Public School community, and you also learn about summer academy opportunities. Our city, our schools, and our staff demographics is representative of so many different races, ethnicities, and cultures, and other identities. That's what draws me to Minneapolis, the diversity. Unfortunately, throughout our country, there have been an increase in hate and bias. We've seen firsthand in our city publicly through police and community violence, or even hearing hateful and discriminatory words. If there's one thing this past year has taught me, is that we have to come together and do our part to combat any inequalities in education, healthcare, housing, and so forth. Also, it's important for us to see this as an opportunity to get to know people in our community that are next door or at the grocery store and are from different backgrounds. This summer, there will be plenty of opportunities to check out one of the 10,000 lakes in Minnesota. I want to do a land acknowledgement of a lake that I frequent a lot of the time, where I go to grill, go for bike rides, swims, and that is Bde Maka Ska. I know some of you may recall it being called Lake Calhoun, and one way that we can acknowledge the land is knowing how to say the name. So let's check out this video to learn how to say Bde Maka Ska and learn a little bit about its history.
This week, the Minneapolis Parks Board voted to change the name of Lake Calhoun back to its Dakota name. The lake was named in the 19th century after Southern politician John Calhoun, who was arguably his era's strongest proponent of slavery. The new name does need to be approved by both state and federal officials, but it is not too soon to learn more about the Dakota name, Bde Maka Ska. Here to help us do this is Joe Bendixson. He teaches Dakota language courses at the University of Minnesota. Mr. Bendixson, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, I just wanted, for our visual friends, to show the name. This is as it'll appear on signs. How did I do? How do we pronounce this new name?
You had perfect pronunciation.
Do it out of your own.
All right. Bde Maka Ska.
Okay. And what's this broken down, word for word? What does this mean?
Bde means lake. Maka means earth. And Ska is white, and it's named after the white sandy beaches on the lake.
Sure. And what does this mean to Dakota people and to the community more broadly to have this change? I mean, I know it's something that you've advocated for a long time for.
Oh, yes. It means a lot because if we go back to the original name, then we're acknowledging that Dakota people have lived here for centuries. And to use that, then when we go to the lake, we'll be seeing our name for the lake, and it'll say, okay, Dakota people are welcome here.
You know, we were talking before the show with our producers, and we were kind of speculating that this name could be shortened quickly to Lake Madaska. Or is it important to preserve the full name? I mean, is that part of the cultural idea here, to have all syllables, all words?
Well, I think it's important to preserve the whole name because the Dakota language is very descriptive. So when you say the words, you're describing a scene. So when we say Bde, lake, Maka, earth, Ska, way, that gives you a visual image when you're speaking to another person. So the Dakota language describes the landscape. So I think it's important we preserve the whole name.
So what is racial justice? Well, according to the National Education Association, racial justice is the systemic fair treatment of people of all races, resulting in equitable opportunities and outcomes for all. During this video, think about what resonates with you and your definition of racial justice.
All this held in hand, none I understand, none I wish to show, none I wish to know. Caught from me inside, caught too late to hide or to fade away, now to find a way with you. Watch for what I say, all the games I play. Hard to tell the truth, and so hard to move. Still trying to be quick, don't wanna go down sick, trying to hold my will.
In my role as manager of counseling services, I get an opportunity to visit a variety of neighborhoods throughout Minneapolis. The past year, it's been so hard hearing and seeing on the news negative misconceptions and stereotypes about our city. I would like to offer a real perspective of what it's like in Minneapolis through the lens of our students and staff. You'll have a chance to hear how students and staff throughout the district are rebuilding their hearts and minds from the events over the past year. So let's take a journey to see how several schools throughout Minneapolis are practicing racial justice. We're going to begin by starting at Jenny Lind, a school that I've had an awesome opportunity to be a part of since schools have been back in person. So let's take a look at some of the work they're doing around racial justice. Thanks so much for your work over at Jenny Lind, students, staff. My daughter begins school in a couple of years, and I could definitely see her loving it there. Roosevelt is one of our closest high schools to where George Floyd was murdered last summer. Did you know the students and staff and the community have been leading racial justice days annually for several years over at Roosevelt? This year, Roosevelt spent the first part of the day with racial justice learning sessions that included anti-racist strategies, Dare to Be Real small group discussions, and how to combat anti-Asian hate. The second half of the day was spent gathering and then walking as a school to George Floyd Memorial Site. Let's take a listen at this awesome learning opportunity. Listen to what experiences that the students and staff had.
So we came down to the George Floyd Square today because we had this little thought in our head, like we should do a racial justice day.
What do you want? Justice! What do you want? Now! What do you want? Justice!
So our racial justice day at our school is basically like us breaking chains, us coming out marching, us changing the world. and trying to make it better because we're the revolution. Our us young people is the revolution. So in order for us to be heard, we have to show why we out here.
I feel like what's happening around the world affects me because I'm a black man in America. So I had to come out here and show love and support because it can happen to me any day.
I'm a school counselor at Roosevelt High School. I'm so happy and proud to be here with my RHS community.
Today was Racial Justice Day at Roosevelt.
Every little bit counts, like speaking, advocating for yourself.
It all starts with us. There is change. You know, we went so long with no justice, nothing at all. But then with George Floyd, we kept fighting, we saw change. So they say that we're the future. We don't feel like we're the future. We're like, how can we do it? Like, we only can do so much, but we really are.
Wow, so awesome to see students take part in learning about people in the city who have felt marginalized and discriminated against. Some students also felt moved to action through making meals for people that were down at George Floyd Square. Did you know Minneapolis has a culinary program at Roosevelt High School? I am one of those people who loves watching Diners, Drives, and Drives, the cooking channel. Cooking and eating is my passion. I know how to throw down on the grill and season food. And so if you're into that, maybe consider taking classes at Roosevelt with Chef Ben. He's the teacher. Let's take a look at the Roosevelt High School students as they prepare meals and serve the meals at George Floyd Square.
Well, I chose this class because I want to learn how to cook, because I can't have my dad feeding me forever, you know? All right.
Now I don't mind a little sugar, if you don't mind a little salt.
And I think it's important for this class to provide some food to George Floyd Square because they're out there every day doing something.
I like learning how to cook and make stuff, and maybe like take this, go back home and make a meal for my family and myself.
If you don't mind a little truth, I know the first and last thing about sweet talk.
Thanks so much, students and staff at Jenny Lynn and Roosevelt and around the district for your work with racial justice throughout the past year. Here are some strategies you can use to begin your journey. First, be open to having conversations about race and racial justice. It may not be comfortable or your own lived experience, but know that there's other people in our city that have experienced systemic and interpersonal racism. I happen to be one of them. This past year has shown us that there's a lot of pain that we need to work through and come together as a community. That means it's going to take some time to listen and understand people and hear their experiences. Also, having humility to try to understand through their lens what their experiences have been like. And then we need to take action. And you saw some examples from our students and staff in Minneapolis. Here's a list of different places throughout the city that you can check out this summer to get to learn about people of diverse backgrounds and cultures. I plan on visiting at least 2 of the places on this list with my daughter to try some different foods and see different cultures and hear different languages. Also, I want to sit and listen to the different microaggressions and biases that people of diverse backgrounds have been experiencing. Also look for commonalities between cultures and different groups. This summer, Minneapolis Public Schools has 5 unique engaging Summer Scholars Academies. Students have the opportunity to explore, create, and connect in a program that best to continue learning this summer. The program runs from June 21st to July 29th at schools throughout the district. Minneapolis Public Schools students, families, and community members, we want to remind you to have a great, fun, exploring summer. We look forward to seeing you back in the fall, and we also always want to remind you, it's you we like, just the way you are. Your hair color, the culture you're from, the racial background you're from. We enjoy having students, staff, and community members from diverse backgrounds. Have a great summer.